All right, everyone, welcome again. It's Dr. Dan Ritchie, your president of the Functional Aging Institute. Nicole, I think I have given you the controls if you see that. So whenever you
Mhm.
want to share your screen, feel free. For those of you that don't know, Nicole and I have known each other, oh man, I think 6, 7 years now, maybe even more. So I think Nicole actually started to get wind of what I was doing locally in terms of marketing. And then I actually hired her as my local marketing coach, was in a mastermind of hers. And in the last couple of years, she has become our book publishing partner. And to date, how many books have we published together through FAI? Do you know? Is it 20 at this point?
No, I think we're closer to 40. I mean, if you look at the license books we're going to talk about today, that's 30.
Okay.
And then we've been doing a bunch of other books, so I'm going to put it at 40, 45.
Wow, it's even bigger than I knew. So that's awesome.
Yeah, you're a big deal.
That's what I hear. That's what I hear. Even my 8-year-old just the other day said that I was famous, and I said, "What? Based on what?" He said, "Well, I've seen you on TV, so apparently that makes you famous." So,
Uh-huh.
so
I run around town telling people all the time, you don't understand, Dan Ritchie's a much bigger deal than you think he is.
yeah, that's
So,
right. Yeah, nobody in town realizes how big a deal I am. So,
yeah, I know.
I did tell someone today. She asked me what I did, and I said Miracles Fitness. She said, "Oh yeah, I've heard of that." And I said, "In Functional Aging Institute, we're in 17 countries around the world." And all of a sudden, she sort of did a jump back, like 17 countries. That's crazy. So, and growing literally almost a country every couple of months these days. So Nicole, I'm going to let you take it away. I will police the questions and chat room if people want to interrupt and ask a burning question. And of course, I'm here when you have questions on your content you want me to fill in as well. So I keep telling people, Nicole. People ask me what's the secret, what's the best. I keep telling people, and Cody tells them this too. Really, the best secret weapon we have come up with is a published book because it solves so many problems. And I know you're gonna talk some about that. So
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in it. In fact, I am out of books again. I could not believe it. We went through 500 in just the last couple of months. So it's a really
Yeah,
powerful tool.
it's the season, right? So, all right, cool. So I'm going to switch off a video here, but don't mute yourself, Dan, because the first thing I want to talk about is why we use books. So there you go. I'm going to show my screen and let's see. So you should be, why am I still here? Let's get rid of this. So can you confirm with me? Does everybody see my slide
Yep.
screen here, the PowerPoint page? Okay, cool.
Yep. I see you.
Um, awesome. And I'm going to I learned this trick from a couple of big names in the business. I'm going to leave it in PowerPoint mode so I can see what slides are coming up and we can hop over to the internet whenever we want. So it's not a ooh that I am leaving it in this mode. It's just easier to be able to see what's coming up instead of flying blind. So what we're going to talk about today is done-for-you books that are specifically designed to attract two very distinct audiences for personal trainers and convert them into clients. So I always like to start, though, with this image and talk about why we use books as marketing tools. And it really goes back to what you were talking about. When I was back, I was doing marketing strategy work with small business owners. And what I saw was the things that a small business owner needs to do to attract their clients is pretty high maintenance, right? So there's posting on Facebook 5 times a day or 3 times a day, whatever your strategy is, and email marketing and newsletters and flyers and network meetings and all of that together gets pretty exhausting. And then you've still got, right, you're bringing in leads, then you've still got the process of converting a lead into a client and the follow-up. So what I started doing was working with clients and say, what can we do to simplify this so that you are working smarter, not harder? And what I was looking for was tools that particularly were good at conversion. And that's where we came up with the strategy of using a book as the best marketing asset for a business leader that particularly is trying to inspire somebody to take an action that is somewhat scary to them. I call it the slow yes. And so when we look at a book as a marketing tool, there's 2 things that are going on. From the perspective of the author or the business leader, a book does amazing things for you, right? It elevates you as the leader and authority in your niche, right? When you hand somebody your book, there's what I call the wow moment when they're like, whoa, you wrote a book, right? And so you automatically are elevated in authority just because you've written a book. but and you enjoy that, right? But it also opens doors with media attention, all kinds of speaking engagements, because people want to speak to the authority and they trust the authority. And so all of the experience on the side of being the business owner with a book is just remarkable asset in itself. But this photo gets to the purpose that I love the most, which is the experience from the prospects side of things, because nobody really likes being sold to. But if I can hand you a book, and in that wow moment, you know that you've just received something of value, right? It's people, and particularly in America and in Canada, I mean, we hold authors in high regard. We don't throw books away. We know, it's like, wow, we get this book and we've got something that's got a tangible value. And then people do this really cool thing. They decide in that moment that they're going to sit down at some point in the near future and check it out. And what they will do is they will take, this picture is perfect, because they will find the most comfortable chair in their house and they'll grab their drink and they will sit down and intentionally decide, I'm going to give this person 10, 15 minutes, whatever it is, to check out this book. And you can't get that kind of commitment for somebody to go and look at your website and say, all right, I'll sit down on my computer and spend 10, 15 minutes at a website. And when you do that, right, they're right at the bells and the bustles. And you mentioned one thing of interest, let's say it's, hormone or cortisol, and it sparks their interest and boom, they're off Googling that subject, and there's just no control. But when I can pull them away from a computer, hand them a good old-fashioned book, and get them to sit down, they enter a relaxed state of mind. It doesn't feel like marketing, and the whole experience on their end is amazing, right? And then what happens is they're going to read your book, and it's your marketing message. And typically we design books that they can be read in about 45 minutes to 1 hour. And then when somebody who's done that comes to see you, the selling of trying to persuade them to do this has already been done in the book, and you didn't even have to be there for it, right? You wrote this message once and it's taken care of. And then they sit down with you and they just want to know, what program of yours will fit me best? So a lot of times they still want to tell you their story, but at that point it's not selling so much as it's just closing, getting them into the right program and getting them going. So we use a book to do the hard work and to get people moving. Dan, do you have any thoughts or comments you want to add on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's about right. I guess the one thought I had when I saw your image of the gal sitting here with the book is just how many people I have begun to hear say things like, I saw your book sitting on someone's coffee table, or I took my kids to their piano teacher and your book was sitting next to their piano on the shelf, right? Or it was sitting somewhere visible. And that doesn't happen with like a postcard, a flyer, a business card, right? And so, so it's not just, it's not just obviously that, they've got to read it, but it's the longevity to it. It's the fact that it sits around on their dining room table or their coffee table for 6 months or longer, and maybe even their friends come over and see it, right? And so that piece of it is almost impossible to measure, but I'm hearing it consistently. People saying, "Oh, I saw your book in my doctor's office," or "I saw your book, where'd you get the book?" "Oh, I picked it up at the bank branch," just weird random places, right? So, and people typically don't throw books away, so that's a real added longevity piece to it.
Yeah, it's funny because now, and I don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of all forms of marketing. We are here today on a webinar, right? I use email marketing, I use it all. But when I need to really drill in a concept to somebody and get them to change their mind, using the right book and the right message with the right story and the right flow, you can't beat having a book to do that, because we can pull them away, we can relax their body, relax their mind, and then get a message across. And that is just so hard to do in any other form. So that's cool. All right. So here's the thing about the books that we do, and I say the right book, and big part of that is the message. People all the time will say, "Oh, share your story. You got to write a book. Share your story." And share your story is part of it. It's probably part of chapter 1. But sharing your story alone doesn't inspire people to action. It doesn't necessarily get them in the door to you. So it's really about sharing your message and finding the right way to share your message. and weave your story and other stories into that to get them inspired to action. But we got to get them to read the book too. So this statistic came from a strategic coach, and it's really cool. They did research on particularly nonfiction books. And what they found is 60% of the people who receive a nonfiction book will read it cover to cover if it's 100 pages or less. So if you've got a book, and that's what, we aim to get books in this particular genre, right, for sales at about 80 to 100 pages. If you've got them reading 80 to 100 pages, you've got their undivided attention for 45 minutes to an hour. And you just can't get that on a website. So that's part of the magic. But of course, the hard part, and I love this guy, right, is you got to write the book. And that's where a lot of people go, oh, I want to. I think the statistic is 81% of Americans say they want to write a book someday. And I believe it's less than 2% that actually ever get it done. And so it's hard, right? It's not that easy to write a book. We do have, we work with a lot of clients that write their own book. So that is full-fledged, mission that we work with people as we sit down and help them figure out what kind of book do you need, what's the right book for you and your message and your audience, and we figure that out. But we also have these done-for-you books, which is, kind of no longer a surprise with FAI, but what we did, and Dan, this was, your request, is how do we make this easier for our trainers? So I got, the Staples easy button here, but what's what we went looking for and said, okay, how can we make this easier? And the obvious answer was, well, what if we wrote the book for them? So it's been, I think it's 2 years now, Dan, since we wrote the first book for trainers, for personal trainers.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're going right on 2 years, and it took me and Cody over a year to write the original Never Grow Old book for Amazon, maybe a year and a half. And we realized if two PhDs with 20 years in this took a year and a half, how on earth can we expect a trainer who's working full time, got a business to run, a family? There's just no way they're going to be able to write a book faster than we did, let alone even match our time. So writing a book takes a tremendous amount of time, which is why some people never get around to it, and other people take 10 years to do it.
Yeah. All right. So what we did, and that was 2 years ago. We took the content from your book and what you guys know, and we reorganized it into 9 chapters. And I like you call it, a long form sales letter. So people that are familiar with, especially direct response marketing, will recognize that term. But it really is taking somebody who has probably never worked out and walking them through the conversations and all of the factors that they need to understand and the decisions they need to make, that by the end of the book, they're ready to walk in the door and sign up and start a trial with you. So that's what we've done with 9 chapters of core content. So we always start with the vision of, repainting their vision, what's possible for them in their lives. And so in the functional book, it's, what's really possible for someone in their 80s and 90s and 100s. And we repaint the vision, and then we start saying, okay, well, what is functional fitness and how does it work? And why is it not scary? And what do you do? And how's it different from all of those things? And we just go through systematically through all the conversations that person is having in their head, or that they would have if they were sitting in a sales meeting with you. And we put it in a book. We make it interesting and engaging, and boom, we've written 9 core chapters. So now what we've done is we've taken that same format. So our first book we've had out is the functional fitness book. And for that, you must be FAS certified through FAI. And so that one's targeting the 55 and older market. And now we have a brand new one that we just finished up. And it's designed for what I call, the weight loss clients. So the 35 to 55-year-old market that's interested in transforming their body and their health. And that one is hot off the press, but it follows the same type of conversation and flow. And the whole purpose is to convert typically a woman that has maybe never exercised or has totally stopped taking care of herself because of motherhood or career or whatever. And we're going to walk them through all the conversations that they need to have about what's going on in their health and their body, and get them right back into working with a trainer. Thoughts on that?
Well, I think some people listen are going to want to do both books, but I think the reality is you want the book to reach your target ideal client, right? So if you are ideally targeting women in their 40s, you're going to want the health transformation book. If you're ideally targeting women in their 60s, you're going to want the functional fitness book, which is really filled with the functional aging training model. And it really is, you do have to say it's not just a book; it's a long sales letter. And so, if you could put 60 pages of the best content in the hands of someone considering training with you, and it's going to convince them that the only solution is to come work with you. That's a really strong marketing tool, right? So I tell people, that the climax to these books and kind of the moral of the story is I need to go work with the author, right? And so wherever you got this book, you realize the conclusion is I need to go seek these people out. And so, but a book does that in a far more convincing way, I think, than even email marketing or Facebook marketing or postcards, because people know that's marketing, right? They don't think of a book as marketing. And so the content drives people to make a conclusive decision that they need to come work with us, which is what we want, right? We want to help more people, and if it takes 60 pages of material for them to get that into their head, then so be it. That's what we need to do.
Yep. When you hit on one of the points that I run into, because we'll run into trainers who've got a book and it's not working for them. And generally what we say is it's probably the wrong book. So you've earned the rights and the bragging rights as an author of a book, but a conversion book is entirely different than an authority book, and with completely different strategies. So an authority book is like your original Never Grow Old book. That was the book that you and Cody needed to take the Functional Aging Institute to the next level, right, to the mass, and to establish your authority in the functional fitness space. And it was designed, it included what do these workouts look like, and how do you do them, and how do you perform them, so that somebody who's looking at them could kind of understand and go through these exercises. But when you look at a book that's designed to bring a client into your local fitness studio, the last thing you want to do is give them detailed step-by-step how to do these exercises at home in the book. I think that's probably the greatest disservice you could do for your client, is to try to encourage them to do it at home, because let's face it, any time in the past 5 years, they could have done it at home. And we know that they can't, that the reality is they need an accountability coach. They need the safety, the protection, the guidance of an experienced professional that's standing right over them and helping them make the right decisions for their unique situation. So that's what these books do, and how they're different than maybe what other people are used to, and we've done that before. So, all right, so let's talk about kind of how we do this moving forward. All right, so what are the 9 contents? The first thing we do in both books, right, so we've got the one for functional fitness or the one for the body transformation, depending on which client you want. Both books go through kind of the same process where we wrap your brand around our content. So both books begin with a foreword written by an authority. In the functional fitness book, the foreword is written by Cody Sipe, Dr. Cody Sipe, which is the co-founder and, what is he, vice president of FAI? Or
Yep,
okay.
Vice president.
So I like that. The president, by the way, of FAI is Dan, and he's listed, if you want, if we go back here, both of these books, you can have Dan listed as the co-author of your book, which adds nice credibility because it's Dan Ritchie, PhD, and you can add that. Or if you want, you can take it off. So it's totally up to you. We have a lot of people that want that added authority, and the fact that, they're talking about they wrote the book with somebody versus on their own. So that's totally optional. But we have the foreword by Cody in the functional book, and by Diane Coulion. Diane or Diana? Diana, excuse me. Diana Coulion, who is Bedros's wife, and she is an expert in meal planning, correct, and nutrition. And she's got a book out.
Yeah, meal planning, nutrition, and what she calls recipe hacking, right? So like she takes your favorite comfort foods, your chocolate chip cookies and your lasagnas, and she figures out actually how to hack out all the unhealthy ingredients and make those things healthy, which I actually thought was sort of a laughable idea until she sent me some of her chocolate coconut cookies, and I was like, these are amazing, and they're actually healthy. I'm like, unbelievable. So she has actually released 2 cookbooks, the Recipe Hacker and the Recipe Hacker Confidential, or it's like the Recipe Hacker 2.0. So yeah. Beautiful cookbooks, and we've actually tried several of the recipes, and some of them are just amazing, and you're like, wow, and this is actually healthy, and I like it. So
yeah, cool stuff. She's a big deal. I mean, both Cody and Diana are big deals, and so The forward to each book is written by them. They're engaging stories at the very beginning. And one of the things that they do is they set you up, the trainer, as an authority now as you flow into the book. So we move from the forward into your story. And this is where one of the few places where you as the author, the client, is going to write your story. And so this is where we want you to share why you love personal training, why you're passionate about this. If you've got a story about your own life, overcoming a sickness or disease, your mother, your father, your family member, whatever it was that sparked your interest, that's what we want in this. So we've done all the complex writing. This is the personal stuff. This is what you would tell somebody over coffee about why you love what you do. And so we put that story right up front. Then we flow through. We've got 9 done for you chapters. There are places in there that we have you tweak it. So for example, some trainers do a 30 to 45 minute workout and some do an hour, and we tweak it, so we customize it for you in those places. We drop your business name in on a couple of spots. So just some places in there we can customize it. Then we wrap it up with the book where you're going to include all of your client testimonials. If you got before and after photos or photos from your clients, we love putting those in there, because the 2 biggest things that people like most about these books are the story at the beginning and the testimonials and the photos at the end. So those are big draws for you, and that's why we want to make sure we customize that and get your information inside of the book. Then we include your author bio. This is the bigger one. It's the one that you brag on all of your certifications or your whatever you want. Some people do a paragraph, some people do a page and a half. It doesn't matter. We get your bio in there, your contact information. We're talking about, where's your studio located? How do you get a hold of us? Where's your Facebook, your Twitter, whatever accounts that you have? It's your branding page. And then we wrap up every book with a trial offer on the inside, which is typically in the functional book, I think it's an $89. In Dan, I think in yours, what is it, $89?
Yep.
6-week transformation.
21. Yep, $89, 21-day fitness transformation.
Which I think a lot of people copy, yeah, and they use that. But we've got different people. The transformation book that has the same thing at the back. And it was really 2 of our best success stories. We're going to talk about them in a minute, that uncovered the key to really making these books work. And that is when they hand somebody a book, they always say, and by the way, and they open it to this last page and say, if you want to, be sure you see this special offer in here. And if you want to come work out with us, you want to ask for this offer because it's our best offer. And so that's how we track later on who's coming in, so you can get your success rates. Because when people ask for the book offer, that's where they're coming from. They've read the book and they're taking you up on the offer. So that's the big benefit of that. And it's the next step. It's the first thing we want them to do as soon as they get done reading the book. Okay. So the next thing we do, we got all the interior content done. Now we just completely wrap your brand around the cover. So it's your title. It is your photos, your language. Dan is co-author if you want or not. But here's some of our most recent books that just came out. I just think they're gorgeous. And you can see everyone is unique and different. And we encourage photos on the front of your clients. Dan, you got to tell your story. You want to talk about your girl?
Terry on my cover?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a picture of my cover? It's okay if you don't. So Terry,
but no.
Terry Smith is 58. I think she was 57 when we put her on the cover. She might even be 59 now. Very well known in our market. So I intentionally asked her to be on the cover of our book, and of course she was thrilled and honored and excited, which is what you want. Some clients are shy or maybe too humble, but she owned a floral shop in town for, 10, 15 years. There she is. Very well known business owner. Lots of people had used her flower shop for weddings, for graduations, for funerals, for all sorts of momentous, occasions, right? And so very well-known small business owner in town, really good reputation, and knows lots and lots of people, right? And so I definitely want someone like that on the cover of my book, as opposed to if I had put a Purdue professor that no one except her department knew in town, right? Like, she could be a world expert, right? But nobody in West Lafayette knows who she is. Would not have been as big a bang for my buck. And so I can use this image, and I do from time to time, put it up on Facebook, and then Terry will say, hey, look, that's me on the cover of my book with my trainer, and she'll get all kinds of Facebook buzz going. And so you do want to put someone on the cover of your book. Shelley probably has done it better than anyone. I don't know if you have the cover of Shelley's book, but she put the former TV news anchor from Saskatoon for like 20 years, you know. So talk about a local celebrity and local authority on the cover of her book. I mean, that's a home run.
Yeah. What I like about, if you can do this, and this is a shout out to Rosa, who just started, she just signed her book deal. So yay, Rosa. I know you're going to try to join us. Maybe you'll catch the replay if not. But we were just talking about her book. But what I like about, if you can get a business owner in particular to be on your cover, they're well known and they get marketing. So the right one, like Terry here, she understood, hey, I have a chance to help him. I love him. I love Miracles Fitness and I want to help him. And so they understand marketing. So some people may be well known, but too shy to really step out. And all of that is part of your strategy. So if you look at, again, all of these covers, you'll see each of these people on the covers were handpicked for some different reasons. They represent your ideal client. They represent people who are well known or success stories. It's just cool stuff. Okay, Dan, I want to talk about ROI because one of the strategies that we look at is we want trainers to give the book away. So, and that's unnerving to people. Oh, sorry, it's gone. It's there,
Yeah.
right? So, I'll start with the basic number, which is when we publish a book, we don't the done for you books, we don't seek for royalties on that. We don't seek for royalties on any book that we publish through our company, Niche Pressworks. But so you're getting the book at cost. So it's $2.15 a book, plus you're going to pay shipping on the box to get it to you. So if we round that up and we say it looks like it's about $2.65 per book, that's your hard cost to start handing them out. And your goal is to hand them out. Dan, I'd like for you to explain, because you've done this a million times, talk about the ROI and how you see it as a business owner.
Sure. So let's just make it simple. Let's say the book is $3, which it never is that much for me. I think because I order them in blocks of 500, they're closer to $2 a copy, and then your shipping is maybe $50. So that's, you know, at most it's $2.20 a copy. But let's say it's $3 a copy, right? And people are like, man, $3. I'm going to give those things away, and I've said this to you before, you know, sort of like a drug dealer, right? And it's sort of a not a comfortable analogy, but it's like, look, if I can get the book out to as many people as possible, I'm going to get a huge return on investment. And so I spoke at a Purdue event, and I gave away 180 books. Did I think for a moment that it was going to cost me $360 to speak at this event? No. What I thought was, if 2 people become clients, I'm going to make close to $10,000. To date, I know I've gotten 1 client out of the deal worth $5,000. So $360 for $5,000. And I also know that my client lifetime value, which is why it's important to know your numbers, Nicole. My client lifetime value tends to be somewhere in the $10,000 to $12,000 range. So when I get 1 new client, even if they sign up for a $2,000 or $3,000 program, I know the odds are they're going to be worth $10,000 to $12,000 over the lifespan, because they're going to be with me for 4 or 5 years. And so I want to give the book away like I'm giving away candy to kids on every corner, right? Now, of course, it's critical I give the book away to the right people, right? And this is sometimes why the book doesn't work, because people are like, oh, I have a book. Like, I don't go take it to the junior high and hand it out, you know, in the 7th grade classroom, because I'm never going to get a client, right? So I look for speaking opportunities with retirees and speaking opportunities at Kiwanis and Rotary Club and places where I can put the book in the hands of 60 and 70-year-olds. And when you think about a referral tool for $3, right, you have 5 or 10 fantastic clients that will each give the book away to 2 or 3 of their friends. It's a great referral tool. Well, shoot, I would probably give my clients $50 if they would go out and tell 3 of their best people about me, right? I don't even have to do that. I spend $3 on each book and give them the book to give away. It's a super low cost way to get to really qualified leads. And so the cost of the book really is not something people should even be really thinking about, because people are already wasting money on brochures and business cards and other things that are good things to do, but don't have as good a return as investment as this does.
Yeah, exactly. And they're still going to require the sales time and all of that. So, well, let's talk about, we want to cover back again on how you use the book, because you touched on a couple of them, but let's talk numbers. The first success story is Lisa, And Lisa, and both of these stories are in your mastermind. So if you want to talk about a little bit, you interviewed Lisa in a video that is available on our website. You want to talk though about what Lisa did with her numbers?
Yeah, I mean, she's really transformed her business. I think now to date, she's given over somewhere around 1,200 copies of the book away. And she almost every month has 2 to 3 people in on the book promo, right? So they're doing, I think she's also doing a 21-day fitness transformation. The other thing it's done for her, which is almost difficult to measure, is it's just really put her on the map in Corpus Christi, which is funny to say because she was there for 20 years, right? So it's not like she was a new business owner. But now she's everywhere, right? People are like, I'm seeing you everywhere. I'm hearing about you. Well, you put 1,200 books out in a market of 30,000 people. I mean, that is saturation, especially in your target audience. And so she's got people coming in on a consistent basis. I've heard about you through your book, or someone gave me your book, or I read your book. And so it's just going to continue to produce for her month after month after month. And it's raised the level of trust for her and her business, right? I mean, she is the expert in Corpus Christi when it comes to aging and fitness. And so people aren't going to go other places. And so I think it's also empowered her and sort of excited her to do bigger things in her community. She's opened up a few speaking opportunities at some big events. She got to speak at a Laura Bush women's health event. I mean, I don't know if that sort of thing would have happened if she wasn't a published author. And so it's opened some bigger doors, which I don't think she was really even looking for the book to even do for her. But again, it elevated her authority and credibility stature, and it's going to continue to pay dividends now over the next 2 to 3 years because of the time she's invested getting the book out in her community.
Mm-hmm. What I love about Lisa, and then the story we're going to share in a minute, is Lisa at the time she got her book had been in business for, I think it was 18 years.
Yep.
And so she had gotten, she'd gotten comfortable, and I think she shares that in the video, right? So it just, the business it was pulling in a nice income. But man, when she did the book and got in Mastermind, she completely reinvented everything and got fired up again. And that is so cool. And the next one is Shelley, and I'll ask you to do the same on Shelley. But Shelley was brand new when she joined Mastermind. She was leaving a corporate job and had everything on the line. Talk about Shelley and what happened with her.
Well, Shelley's sort of the complete opposite of that, right? Shelley really is for the person listening to this right now who's thinking about opening a business. Maybe you're on here right now and the thought of opening a business is terrifying you. Well, that's where Shelley was, right? In fact, Shelley and I had the conversation. She said, well, I have my safety net because I have this lab job that when I leave, and we don't have this in the U.S. to my knowledge, Nicole, tell me if I'm wrong, but in Canada, you can put in what's called a leave of absence or a leave of notice, and you have 12 months to return to your job. I'd never heard of such a thing, right? In the U.S., you put in your 2 weeks notice and that's it. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Well, she's like, well, I have my safety net because if this doesn't work out, I can go back to my lab job. And I start laughing right on the coaching call. She's like, why are you laughing? I'm like, because you don't need that safety net. And if you think you need that safety net, you're not going to go for it, right? Like you got to go all out like there is no safety net, right? And so she published the book and had that from the very get-go. It helped her launch her business. And she, to date, has claimed over 100 clients have come through some form or fashion due to the book, right? And she used it right out of the get-go, right? People never heard of her would come in, get a copy of her book, try the 3-week promo. So she used it as her front-end offer for anyone and everyone all around the market. And of course, for her, because she was kind of new on the scene, she put the TV anchor who she'd been training privately on the side, put her on the cover of her book. And so it instantly made her an authority, a co-celebrity, a credible resource. And in less than a year, she had over 100 clients and was doing $20,000 a month. And again, at that point, she'd completely forgotten that she still had this lab job as her safety net, right? It was like, well, I can always go back to my lab job. She laughs now, like I laughed about it, almost 2 years ago now, because she would never go back to that lab job. She's doing quite well. And the book is going to, again, continue to pay off for her long term because it's established her as an authority figure, a credible source, sort of the go-to person. Um, she was the first trainer to have a published book in her market. She was the first functional aging specialist in her market. She was the first fitness studio to focus on older adults. So she carved out that expert status in so many areas, and has had huge success. And so for anyone listening right now thinking, well, I don't even have my business open, you should absolutely do the book, because as soon as you open, you're a published authority, you have a book, it's a tremendous referral. The first 10 clients that come in, guess what? You're going to give them all 2 copies of your book and tell them to go give that to the 2 people that need you most. And so Lisa, was the opposite end. She was sort of that comfortable, coasting business owner that needed something to stir up the market. Whereas Shelley was someone who really just needed to launch and brand herself and show people what she had to offer.
Yeah. And so both of these women, when you look at these numbers, you look at $100,000, I think it was 103 was the exact number at the time she and I talked, Shelley and I did. These are contracts that they tracked directly to the offer in the book that, they signed. Somebody came in, took the trial offer, the 21-day offer in the book, and then turned into a long contract. So those are the definite track to the book. But what you can't track is the people who see you talking about the book and get interested in you, so they like you on Facebook, and then somehow they see a promotion that you're doing for a Labor Day special or Memorial Day special, and they see that, or they get it in an email, and they sign up to that offer, but they found you because of the book. So when we're talking about Shelley had $100,000 in clients, and Lisa's numbers at the time, were 57,000. Those are tracked directly to the book. But I know Shelley had her best summer ever. 18 years in business, and what was it, last summer? Over the summer in Corpus Christi, she said she added $30,000 in new client contracts in a time that was always historically dead for her as a personal trainer.
Yeah, so, Summer in Texas is a tough time for her business, and she continues to have almost record month after record month. And I've warned her. I said, look, the book has set you up for that. It's going to continue to fuel your business because you have made yourself a much more I don't want to prestigious might not be the right word, but a much more authoritative and expert fitness place, right? And you've really put yourself on the Corpus Christi map in a lot more aggressive way than she was before. Before, she was just your personal best training studio. Well, now she's really taken claim to the market, and if you want to go to the best personal training studio, you go to hers. If you want to go to the place where they have an expert, a published author, you go to hers. Where you've heard someone public speak. I mean, she's just elevated her game, and Corpus Christi is similar to the market I'm in. It's about town of 30,000 people, and so if you get your book out there in saturation, pretty soon you become the known entity, and it's put her on a trajectory where her business is going to continue to grow month after month, and every month is going to be sort of a record year over year from where she was in the past, which is really quite phenomenal when you consider her business is 20 years old.
Yeah. So let's talk about, because you have a fun story of the guy who came in holding your book the other day. And then what I'd like for you to do after that is just talk about where do you use the book, right? All the places that you're getting it out and using it to bring in clients.
Sure. Yeah, so I had a guy recently come in. He's probably been a client now for 6 months almost. He got the book from his doctor, and this is where, if you just jump back to your slide on the return on investment, it almost becomes laughable when I hear people say, oh, the book's expensive, right? So $2.65 a copy. I give Joyce 10 books every time she goes to the doctor. Now, she goes to see Dr. Mithke 2 to 3 times a year, and every time he gives her just a rave review of health, right? I mean, she's the healthiest 80-year-old patient he has. She's 85, and whatever you're doing at Miracles, keep doing it. They're doing amazing things for you, right? Well, now she's so sold him that every time she goes to visit, she takes him 10 books. So it cost me about $25 every time she goes to the doctor, which is 2 or 3 times a year. And I don't give any thought to that whatsoever, right? So this gentleman comes in, has a folder that he had gotten at the physician, kind of has his health records, his prescriptions and his blood pressure and all his statistics. And in the folder is my book. And he says, Dr. Mithke gave me your book a year ago. A year ago, right? I mean, just think if I had given Dr. Mithke a brochure or a business card or a flyer, is there any way this guy would still have it a year later? Probably not. But he still had my book, and he had read it. In fact, he said, I've been meaning to come in for 6 months. It's just taken me this long to get around to finally making the appointment. How many people is that true for, right? It's true for so much of, unfortunately, humanity in the United States and probably even Canadians. We put things off. Oh, I'll get to it. Oh, I'll eventually start an exercise program, right? Well, because he had the book and he had read it, he knew where he was going when he finally did make the time to do it. And so, do you think it was hard to sell him on a program? He was already sold. He was basically, which program do you recommend, Dan? And when can I start? And I said, well, you can start tomorrow, and you should do 3 times a week. Do you want to do small group or one-on-one? He said, I'll do one-on-one. Well, our one-on-one costs $549 a month, and he signed up for 11 months. So that's a little bit over $5,500. Now remember, it did cost me $25 worth of books to get that client, Nicole. So there was a pretty large upfront expense, right? I mean, $25 to get $5,500. And he's still, 6 months later here, he's still going strong training with us. And I probably, when I get my next shipment of books, need to go up to him and say, hey, remember you got this book? I need you to give it to 3 people that you think would appreciate it. And I know Dr. Mithke has given the book out to other people. And like you said, this is the interesting thing, right? The Lisa and Shelley numbers are only attributed to what they can measure specific to the book that they know about, right? How many people sign up now that don't mention the book, don't refer that they read the book or seen the book, but they're still becoming clients because of the book, and you don't actually know it, right? I mean, people hear about us in multiple ways if we're marketing correctly. And so I know I'm getting clients because of the book, and I don't have any way to measure it, because if they don't fess up and say, oh yeah, I've read the book, then I don't explicitly know unless I ask them at the time, and we always try to, so it does help. We ask them when they sign up, do you have a copy of our book? And if they say yes, then we immediately know, right? Like, well, they did have a copy of the book. So even though if they don't mention it, they don't refer to it, if we mark on the box they did have a copy of the book, then we know it was at least a piece of the process. And of course, if they don't have a copy of the book, we give them one, and typically we give them another one to give away to someone. Again, we're giving it away like candy, so people will give out our candy all over the market, so people will come to our training center.
Okay, so places you put your book, you mentioned doctor's office. What else, where do you hand out copies of your book?
Yeah, so doctor's offices are great. Customized pharmacies, so Custom Plus Pharmacy here in town has it. Physical therapy clinics have given it away for us. Chiropractic offices give it away for us. There are even a couple of bank branches that have asked for it, that they want to give it away. And then, of course, speaking engagements. So Purdue Retirees events, health fairs, Kiwanis, Rotary, any small speaking event where I'm speaking 10, 12, 15 people, I'm giving away copies of the book. So I'm actually now more aggressive in looking for speaking opportunities and health fairs. So last week there was a senior fair at the senior center. Any kind of event like that where I can give away 20, 30, 40 copies of the book is a win for us. And so really any sort of allied health, chiropractic, massage therapy, any of those sorts of things are great places for people to be giving your book away. You don't obviously want it to just be anywhere, right? Like I don't take it to Starbucks, or I don't take it to some random place where people of all ages visit. But massage therapists, physical therapists, chiropractors who I know are working with people over 50 are great places, obviously, for them to be giving the book away.
Mm-hmm. I like, when we talk strategy, and everybody who does the book gets a marketing guide. And one of the things that we try to really hone in on is this: you want to give it to people who are looking for solutions. So there are people who need you that aren't looking for solutions, and that's where you'll waste money giving them a book, right? They're happy where they're at. They're not at a place that they're looking to transform, but it's hard not to go to a doctor's office and not walk out of there thinking, all right, I need to make some changes in my health. That's the perfect time. People that are walking into pharmacies, things like that, if we can get them where they're thinking about making serious improvements, that's when you want to hand them a book right away. So cool. Thank you for sharing that. Let's talk about how, well, wait, first, before we do that, do we have any questions? I would invite people to contribute questions and get in here since we've been hogging all the time.
Oh, quick question from Michael.
Yeah.
This is pretty easy. Did you say earlier that you have to be FAI certified to get the book? Michael, we have at the Functional Aging Institute basically told Nicole that you can't do the functional fitness book without being FAS certified, but you can do the body and health transformation book without being certified. So the functional fitness book is written for a functional aging specialist, so it doesn't really work if you publish that book and then talk about being a functional aging specialist and you're not one. So you would be kind of called out on that by your clients who would say, hey, this book talks about functional aging specialists, but we see you're not one. So also, I don't know if we talked about this, Nicole, but we are still continuing to do a functional aging specialist discount for people. So if people want to do the functional fitness book, we will help them get the functional aging specialist at a pretty significant discount.
Yeah, so in fact, you can start the book, and we can have the book ready to go with the certification. So we have people that reserve their territory. We'll talk about territories in just a minute, but go ahead and jump in, get the book going now, and then go get their certification. So as soon as they're certified, the book is ready to go, and we can hit print and get you some. We just won't release the shipment to you until we know that you're certified, because like Dan said, it says in the book that you're certified. So we want to honor that. But the new book has no restrictions on that. So that's for people who are working in that 35 to 55 market in any sort of transformation. And you can see both of these books. We'll get you a website in a minute and you can read both of these. But let's talk about what's included in this. So we have two different licensing options on these books. And what you're getting with this is you're getting our 9 core chapters of content, your opportunity to wrap in your branding, your story, your client testimonials, your logo, your location, everything around that. And we take care of all the publishing details for you. And then you're going to be able to order wholesale, the same cost we would, which is $2.15 a book in the US. If you're in Canada, we actually work with Canadian printers up there, so you can avoid the customs of shipping the books, because that was a hefty price. So we actually print in Canada for our Canadian clients so that they can get the book at a Canadian dollar and save some money there. So the standard package, the one that's most popular, is just the standard branding that we've talked about. So 9 chapters, we wrap the cover around it. We include your story, your about the author page, your client photos, testimonials, and the wholesale reprints. And that is 4 payments of $6.99. And we can do that in as fast as 30 days. So it's not a lot of work and effort for you to get it done. And we've had people, and Dan challenged us, you threw one at us that you wanted in 7 days. That's a little faster than
I think she wanted it in 18 days, but there was only like 7 business days in there, so, or something like that. So
yes, and we were holding a live event at the time we got the text. We're like, we can't do that.
Right. Yeah.
So we say, we can do it in 30 days and get you running. So if you know you've got a major campaign coming up and you want this as part of it, we can get you a book finished. The biggest thing that you've got to get us is your story, and you've got to get us the photo for the cover. And those two seem to be the hurdles, and it's as fast as you can pull together that and send us the testimonials and all the pieces on our end. We work quick. And then we have another package. It's for the people that really want to dig into the content and edit it. So you don't have to write a book from scratch, but we have people that want to say, I want to add, I want to tweak this, I want to change that, I want to add my own story here and insert some stuff. Like if you're an expert in certain aspects of nutrition or cryogenics or whatever, then you may want the master file. And so that's what this other package is. 4 payments of $8.99. We send you the master Word document, and you can edit it to your heart's delight, change it up as much as you want. and then you send it back to us, and we send it through their editor again, get it all redesigned, get and improved and everything. And again, the same deal, it's licensed to you, and you're going to order it at wholesale, and we get everything for you. Again, we can do that as fast as 30 days if you want. Well, I'm going to take that back because we got to run it through an editor. But both of these are just fast, that we can get them taken care of. Usually on our end, we're just waiting for the stuff from you. And then now the rest of what we do with that is we want to make sure we set you up for success. So what we found is it's one thing to get a book done, and people talk about, you know, I'm an author, and ooh, they think clients are going to come. But what the secret is getting the book out into the world. So with every time when we do this, we've created this ideas book that we're going to ship you right away. And it's just a short manual. It gives you cover design examples inside, examples of different author prefaces, stories of other trainers and what they've done in their first chapter, so you can see some other examples and get inspired for your own. We give you examples of other about the author bios, so you may, if you haven't got a bio now and you want to follow somebody else's pattern, you can do that. And then we've included a bunch of testimonials. And the way I tell people to use the testimonials is, you may read somebody else's list of testimonials and realize, oh, I've got a story about Parkinson's, I want to include that. Or I've got a woman who had something similar, I totally forgot about that, I want to get her testimonial. So we include a bunch of testimonial examples from some of our past authors, just to inspire you to think about other ones that you might want to go get and get into your book. Then we're going to give you a distribution plan worksheet, so that'll tell you how many books you probably want to order in your first order. So we want to see you ordering at least 100 at a time. But you can order 500 at a time if you want. You know, it's really kind of a budget. You may want to order your first 100, get your first client, and then order 200 the next time, and then order 100. And you know, it takes about 10 to 14 days to get a shipment. Dan, you cheat, so you don't know this, but you actually, by going to 500, we've got you at a printer who ships them within 48 hours. So we can do that. You have to hit 500 in order to do that. So I think you're one of the only ones that we have that does that on a regular basis, which is why your pricing structure is a little bit different.
Yeah, that's not cheating. That's just being smarter. So,
yeah, it is. Well, yeah, and so we can get.
But I also know I'm going to go through 500 books in about 3 months, and so, you know, I don't tell people to order 500. I tell them to order for sure 100. But there are some people I say, look, if you got a speaking event coming up where you're going to give 100 away, well then order 500 and make it a goal to get 500 of them out in 3 months. And that's not a very big goal. When I coach our mastermind folks, I say, look, make a list of 5 chiropractors, make a list of 3 massage therapists, make a list of 3 physical therapy clinics, and go get each of them 10 copies of the book. Well, when you do that, they go fast. I mean, they're getting out in chunks again. And so it's not you're taking 1 or 2 copies, you're taking 5 to 10 copies. And so they should go fast.
Yeah. So that, and we give you the distribution list gives you a brainstorming list of where can I get rid of my first 100, 200, 500. So anyway, but yeah, your book's going to cost you $2.15 plus the box of shipping to get them there. And so it's really kind of how fast you want to turn them over and what's your budget on and bringing in your first order and getting it paid for so you can pay your next order. So then we're going to give you step-by-step marketing checklists, what to do 1 week in advance of your book being done, and 1 day and the day of your book launch where you're out there. And so sample social media posts, places you can take it, ways you could celebrate it. If you want to host a live book signing event, all of that, we've got checklists and ideas and how do you do that all inside of here to give you the most opportunity out of the high profile launch that you're going to have, and then ongoing ways to keep using the book. And we talked about several of those, but certainly giving every one of your clients at least, I like 3 copies, 1 for them to keep and 2 for them to give away. And mailing copies to past clients that you've lost. So you had good clients that kind of disappeared, and now you've got a reason to touch back with them. We show you how to include it in your advertising. So if you're going to be on TV for something else, you want to end your TV announcement with, hey, by the way, I've got a book, stop in and we'll give you a copy for free. Or if you are doing a brochure or business cards, you want to put your free book offer on the back of your business cards and your brochure. So the marketing checklist, the ideas in this book are going to help you find homes for those books to get in front of the right people with whether it's your transformation book or it's the other one, and get out there. And then this is one of my favorite things, and it's the opportunity of using the post office in a 3-step postcard campaign. We talk about how to do it, but we've created for you postcards that you can use to mail to the communities that have your ideal clients in them. So this right here is a $700 package value, because if you wanted to hire a graphic designer and a copywriter to create this, it would be about $700. And so we've done it for you, and we've created clever copy and ideas. You simply drop in the photos that you want to use if you don't want to use our photos, and the book image that you've got for yours. And then it just talks about come in and try our offer or grab a copy of the book. So that the postcard campaign is all part of the marketing that we encourage you to use, and it comes with every book deal. So we're set to try to help you get your book out there and get it done. Now here's the deal. Dan, you want to talk about territory?
Sure. I mean, it's exclusive territory rights. I'm not going to let a functional aging specialist in Lafayette, Indiana, publish my book and compete against me in my market, and we're not going to let people do the same thing to you. And to some territories are sold out. You know, some people are like, oh, I'll wait and do the book next year. Well, you might not be able to. So, you know, if you're in Corpus Christi, Texas, sorry, you can't do the book because Lisa's already got that territory. If you're in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, that must be your number 37 there. Shelley's already got the rights to that. So you basically reserve a territory, and I think we've put that at about 300 to 400,000 people. So it's not necessarily mileage, but population density. So you want to lock down your territory now. As you can see, a whole bunch of territories are gone. I think DC is sold out. I think Orange County, California is sold out. There are places that are gone. So if you're considering this, I would hop on the phone or shoot Nicole an email and find out if your territory is still available. And if it is, let's get your first payment in before somebody else beats you to it. Because otherwise you're going to have to do a completely different book. You're going to have to work on writing it yourself. And so the territory right's pretty important. You don't want somebody else running around in your market with a similar book. So that's just something we do to protect you.
Yeah, so we've got, and this map is already a little out of date because we've added a couple already since then. So, but we were at Idea World, a couple weeks ago in Las Vegas. And so we had people that were checking in with us to see if their territory is available for our brand new book, right? The transformation book. And so we were checking territories on that. We had 3 people send us a note and ask us to check their territory on the same day. 2 of the 3 people were in competing territories on the new book, and we already had to turn them away. So there is no expiration date on this offer. The only expiration date is if you want to do it and someone else in your market beats you to it. And I think, you know, that I wouldn't want to compete with somebody who's got one of these books in your market. So if you are thinking about doing it, the thing is to get it done before somebody else does in your market. And we do both. So you can have the territory rights for the functional aging book or the new transformation book. And those are separate rights. So if you want both rights, you're going to need both books. And but if you want, you know, whichever audience you want is the one that we tell you to go get. So if you're wanting to train more of the boomer audience or the senior market, then you're going to want the functional book, and you'll own those rights. So that's important. So
I want to answer Terry's question. Terry Ford has a good question, and I know Terry said only a couple more minutes, and I know we're about to hit 3 o'clock here. So Terry says, I can only stay for a couple more minutes. I've considered the functional fitness book in the past a couple of times. I appreciate the done for you content immensely. My problem was the marketing of FAI in the book. I have people that love to research and would undoubtedly uncover that the same content has been marketed by someone else while tracking down Dan and Cody, or even tracking down Nicole. This has been my hesitation. Does the second option give more options? So the second book certainly would give you more options. There is, of course, Nicole has an option for you to customize the book more for an added fee. The other thing I would encourage you, Terry, or anyone listening, is to check out both versions of the book and see which one fits you best. We have completely rewritten the functional fitness book, so it may be different than when you looked at it the first time. You also have the option to co-author it with me, and so while it's possible someone would do some research into who me and Cody are and realize that other people have co-authored books with us, I don't think they're going to view that as a negative. In fact, they're going to realize that you have co-authored with experts in the field who have also co-authored books with others. So the goal is to get them to get exposed to the content so that they want to come train with you. Um, I I understand being in a research institution town with Purdue University here that some people will do their homework on you. They absolutely will. Um, but I think the fact that they're doing their homework and discovering you have aligned yourself with the Functional Agent Institute, Dan Ritchie and Cody Sipe is not going to hurt you. Even if they discover that we have a line of done for you licensed content, I still don't think that's going to negatively hurt you. So I would just encourage you to take a look at both book options. Nicole can work through that with you and determine which one's the best fit. And if you need to customize it more, that's always an option. Nicole has been pretty flexible with people that want to customize it more, add a chapter to it. Of course, all those things increase your time and your cost. But Nicole, you're pretty good that way. You will take more of people's money. I'm pretty flexible that way. I'm pretty flexible that way too, right?
Yeah.
If you want to pay me more to do more, then we can do that. So that has been one option. I know some people have gone down, Terry, as they say, hey, I want to add a chapter on this, or I want to personalize it more, or I want to put more of my content in it. And you can certainly do that. Obviously, there's more time, there's more expense, but that may prove worthwhile to you to make you feel more confident in the book. And that's something Nicole has done with others. So.
Yeah, I agree. And the other thing I'll add to that is on our Niche Pressworks website, which is our publishing website, we do not reference anywhere these books or the fact that we have a done for you options, because we recognize too, we're listed as your publisher inside the front page of the book. And so the nosy people will go check it out. Who published this book? And if they go to our website, they won't find anywhere that we offer this licensing option and that you might have a licensed book. So our goal is to protect you with territory rights through all of that, through FAI. And if you really want to bury it, I would say get the custom version, edit as much as you want. Any point in there that you think might be a research area for people, you can change it, fix it up, and really make it yours without starting from scratch. So with that, I just want to direct you, here's the website where I want you to go. So I want you to go to nichepressworks.com/FAI. That's where you're going to find the information about the licensing book. There's a big red button on there several times that says read one now. If you click on that, this little screen is going to pop up, and it's going to allow you to check out both templates, and you can enter your business code right here, your zip code. And when you do that, I'll get an email and we will check your zip code and let you know if the territories are available. Meanwhile, you can read both books and see which one fits you. Our biggest thing I want to stress is, number one, pick the book for the ideal client you want. So if you want the 55 plus market, you're going to want the functional fitness book. And if you want more of the weight loss client, then you're going to want to grab the transformation book. So any closing comments on that, Dan, before we go?
I would just say that they should really check out both and determine which is the best fit for their ideal client. They may need to read a couple chapters of each to decide. I think both convert well, but they convert for a different audience. So like I said earlier, if your audience is really that 45 to 55-year-old female, you want the body and health transformation. If your audience is clearly over the age of 55, you're going to want the functional fitness. So that really is kind of how people choose. And if the challenge, I would say, Nicole, for some people is for people who say, but yeah, I do both, right? So like my bread and butter client is a 48 to 60-year-old female, then you're probably going to have to take a hard look at both books and decide which one sounds like your voice the most and is going to suit you best.
Or do both. I like it when you say we just should do both.
Well, that's true, right? Nicole is really, she's very agreeable to taking more money and doing two books for you. And I know some people, Robin is an excellent example of someone, you did her cycling book and she did the functional fitness book, so she wanted to do a completely different book on cycling. And you worked with her on that custom book and got her to Amazon bestseller status, so if there are people listening right now who are like, hey, I want to do the functional fitness book, but I also want to do a book on Parkinson's and health, or I want to do a book on cancer and exercise, Nicole can work with you on that, or if you have some other book in you, and we all have at least one book in us, Nicole can work with you on that as well.
Yeah, yeah. We did Robin's books. We did 2 books in 6 months. So she did licensed books right away to get the income coming, and then she turned around and created the Healthy Knee Cycling book, and had that one out in international bestseller, actually. You too, but we got her international bestseller in the first couple of weeks that her book was out. So it's really cool. So, all right. Here's your next steps. Go to the website right here. Click on the Read the Books Now. Let's find out if your city, your state, your zip is available. And if it is, let's get on the phone with you and get you locked in your territory held so we can get going on your book.
Very good. Thanks so much, Nicole,
Right.
for all you've done for functional aging specialists across North America. And for those of you listening, you absolutely should take a look at this website and see if publishing a book is your next move.
Cool. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you soon.